It's not quite there yet. All right. Are we live?
We are recording
We are recording and we are live. Welcome,
and
everybody.
we are live.
I'm Dr. Terry Hope, and I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Mary Case. And wow, what an interesting time in the world. Wouldn't you say, Mary?
It's a very interesting time in the world.
We're working harder, trying harder, and are we getting more out of life? Or do more people get more out of life? Or is it just stuck in the I call it like, I was thinking about this, like sort of like, when your car gets stuck in a rut and
Yeah,
the wheel is spinning and it's not going anywhere.
stuck in the mucky muck. Yeah.
And that's a topic today is how to undo the work, how to make living less work. What do you know about that, Mary?
It's a great topic, Terry. What do I know? I keep going back to it really is a choice, right? There's things that we can change and there's things that we can't change.
Hmm.
And how much do we choose to be at the effect of everything that's going on in the world? And how hard are we working when we don't have to work that hard? Like, are we willing to just, no matter what is going on in the world, like choose to live our lives?
And that's a funny thing because before we started, we were talking about all the fabulous things that you're doing in the athletic world. And and how to choose that. And you asked me if I was going to go back to being involved in doing triathlons. And I was like, wow. And I'm in an area full of people who are not motivated, certainly not doing anything with their lives. And for me, I can get the sense of needing to make a choice that is beyond the environment that I'm in. It doesn't have to mean anything to anybody, but how many of you are doing things like the environment around you?
Yeah, I was really struck when you said that about the word environment, right? Because
Yeah.
we think about the environment in the context of like the trees and everything that's out there, like further out there. But we don't
Hmm.
really think about environment as the people that we're with every day, that we're engaging with, our partners, our relationships, our kids, the where we live, the complex, the apartments, the houses, all of that. We don't really think of that necessarily as the environment.
Well, and you could take it one step further because just as I was sort of preparing, I checked the lines for like Instagram, and I'm a big fan of Bruce Lipton. So Bruce Lipton was one of the originators of the idea of epigenetics before it became popular, and uh, he's pretty popular, but his what he was looking at is, you know, nothing is genetic. Maybe 1% of everything that happens to people is genetic. And the other 99% is the environment you create. So the environment that you create in your body based on what he would say are beliefs. If you live in an environment that's not great for you, or you created an environment that's not great for you, it will impact your cellular well-being. And how do you like live beyond the muck, if you will, that is like, though it can go as low as, the environment, including cellular.
Mhm.
So if you
Well,
have the point of view about something and you're angry all the time, it will definitely affect your your epigenetics.
yeah. And, if the epigenetics are not necessarily in our control, like how can we turn that around to create a joyful life?
That
You
and
know,
that's the cool thing.
yeah, because it's not necessarily wrong. It's like
No.
how do we work with that? How do we choose to live our lives based on that?
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because if you can get the sense, it's like, oh my God, I'm in an environment of people who are I'm in a city that's full of people who are unmotivated, unmotivated, unhappy, and angry. Every time I land in Toronto, I have to recalibrate myself when I land to not pick up on and become the anger that people are living by. But they don't even know that that's the environment that they live in. It's really funny. And from being aware, you can sense the difference. And it's like, so we're not sitting ducks. I mean, that's the point. We're
Well,
not sitting
and
ducks.
that's key, right? It's about being active, right? Not sitting there, like actively choosing beyond that or beyond the environment or beyond what's being presented to you or the energies that are around you. It's like,
Exactly.
okay, what do you choose?
Well, and that's the thing. So, as an example, how can we contribute to people in this call? It's like, as an example, so when I land and all of a sudden I go, I'm so angry. I go, I don't think I'm angry. It's not, I wasn't angry when I was on the plane. I wasn't angry at the place that I was before. Nothing has changed other than I've landed. So I'm super aware
Yeah.
and aware of the intensity of anger that people are functioning from. And the easiest way to get yourself out of that is to, first of all, identify, is it actually yours or is it not yours? And I'm reviewing a book right now called The Physics of the Mind by this fabulous author. And it really talks about how our thoughts are not necessarily ours. They're in the ethers, and we are in a receiving mode for it. And everything that we are in our environment, we can take our attention, and where we place it is what we're going to create. So I land, I get off the plane, I go, oh, angry. No, not mine.
Hmm.
Just not mine. Okay, so now where am I going to place my attention?
Yeah.
Then as
Because
soon as you
we
go, it's
are
not
like
mine.
we're the psychic SpongeBobs, right? So as soon as you land, you're like this sponge that's absorbing everything in the environment that you've landed into.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, like what do you do with that? What do you do with that, right? So exactly what you're saying is like, okay, well, that's not mine. Like, no, thank you. I'll send it back wherever it
Yeah.
came from. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not willing to take that on. And that's a muscle to be developed.
It is.
It really is.
Almost with anything, because I mean, that's just a really great example because that's like going from pure bliss to, oh my gosh, I'm so angry. And then catching before you go, I'm so angry, and going, it's not mine. And the trick is like one of the things that I learned from Access Consciousness is you just return it back. It's
Hmm.
as simple as that before you make it yours. And then you'll notice that sense of intensity of anger disappears.
Yeah. And that's with everything. Like you gave one example, but it's in everything that we do every single day. Like when I look at my sport, I use that tool all the time. Like, is that
Hmm.
mine? Because we've got, body image, we've got fear, we've got points of view, we've got, total immersion, judgment of others, right? In the sport. And it's so easy to get pulled into that. And I just go, that's not my reality. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
choosing here. And the body just relaxes, like whatever that is. I'm just gonna return that.
Yeah. And it's funny because when you look at the world of athletics, so key because that is a soup pot of judgment and judgment of athletes themselves. I just wrote a couple of articles on LinkedIn about this, but judgment of the person themselves, like, am I going to be able to do a good job? Certainly, I experienced that when I was doing athletics, but now I look and go, was that even mine? And then it's like all the people who are looking at you, expecting you to perform,
Hmm.
and they might have a lot of points of view about like, with all the sports that are going on right now, like the players, like that guy's a loser, that guy's so great, and that permeates everywhere.
You're picking it up all the time. Just like you said, when you landed in Toronto, you're picking up all those energies. So you're picking up all those points of view. It's like when you're a musician on stage, right? I'm also a professional violinist. When you step out on the stage, and some musicians, talk about like stage fright. What that
Yeah.
actually is they're aware of all these eyeballs on them. Everybody's judging them. Everybody has a point of view about what it should sound like or shouldn't sound like. And they're like downloading all of this at one time. And it's no wonder musicians get stressed out and anxious. It's not theirs.
Well, it isn't.
No, and as musicians, when we learn, and sometimes in my coaching, I will talk about this, when we learn that it's actually not ours, we're just gonna like send it right back to the audience. Then we can relax into our bodies, into our instruments, whatever it might be, and perform
And have
without
fun.
and have fun. Yeah, have
Mhm.
fun. What? We're gonna have fun,
What?
Carrie? Isn't that what
So,
we're
and
talking about? Lifing?
yeah, we are. Well, it was about taking the work out of living.
Taking the work out, right? So you're taking the work out of the triathlon, you're taking the work out of the performance on stage, you're taking the work out of going home. You're
You're
taking all the
taking the
work
work out of like everyday stuff
out of life. Yeah.
because the work part is the density of what we're aware of. And people, whether people know it or not, they're like the 3-year-old that's running around with absolutely do everything with no point of view, no limits, have fun, doesn't matter. Your guy is in the your friend is in the sandbox and he kicks you and you kick him back and then you go back to playing again. There's no point of like no
Yeah.
point and so happy and
Yeah.
um and it's remarkable, but then somehow things get convoluted.
Yeah.
You get
Life, right?
serious.
Life. And we get really serious, right?
And
What if it doesn't have to be that serious, right? Like, what do we choose?
well, and the thing is, I always look at like, how do we learn that? Like, how do we go from being these like super happy, exuberant young people, and then all of a sudden start to look at things seriously? It's like a learned thing. I look at it as learned. It's inappropriate to be having a good time.
Yeah. And
Like,
then the physics of your brain, you get all confused, right?
she
Right?
can't be having a good
Yeah.
time. This is
Yeah.
very serious.
Everybody, you even get confused, right? It's like, oh, am I supposed to be having fun? Like, is it okay to have fun? The world's falling apart. I can't have fun.
Well, I've sort of gotten over that. I have fun all the time. Everything is hilarious to me. Yes, exactly.
I just don't think that.
Hilarious. And
Yeah.
even when I'm supposed to be serious, I'm laughing
Nice. Nice.
because why would you not?
And it doesn't mean that we have blinders on. When we're willing to be that space, that energy, then when there really is something that we can contribute to changing it, then we're going to know because we're going to be aware,
Yes.
function
We're
from
not going to
awareness.
be caught in the muck,
Yeah.
being part of the muck.
When you're caught in the muck and part of the muck, it's really hard to figure out, well, what can I actually contribute? What can I change? What am I capable of here?
Well,
Right?
because you're in the muck, you're
Because
in
you're
everyone
stuck in the
else's
muck.
muck.
You're in
You're
survival
stuck in the
mode.
muck and everybody
Yeah.
else's.
Yeah, the quicksand, whatever it might be, right? You're stuck in it, right? When you've got a branch over here, you can grab the branch. You don't, right? There's another possibility there. There's another choice for you. So really, the greatest contribution we can be to the world, to the planet, to others, to our families, to ourselves even is like a willingness to not buy into all that.
It's true. And be
Yeah.
happy. I
What?
mean, if you are happy, I know this for sure. I'm a scientist, I'm a neuroscientist. When we are happy, we actually change the people around us so they are happier if they can receive being happy. I mean, you can't be full of joy and everybody be happy around you because there are certain people who actually couldn't choose happiness if they tried. But there is a thing that happens with people's brains when there's a different energy around them and people gravitate towards the thing that is lighter and more joyful, and other people's brains will mimic what that is. if
Mhm.
they're willing to have that, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. We can just be happy, and then all the people around us start to lighten up. We don't even have to say anything.
Yeah.
So that's the cool part because we can actually have people around us be happier by us not necessarily going into what's wrong, how can I make you happier? Just go and be happy. And then the people around you start to be happy. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, how much fun would that be if people around you were happy?
Or they run away. One of those two.
Oh, okay. So run away. It's like if you're
They
not going to
might
be
run.
happy, that's okay.
That's right. That you've shown them like you're the walking, talking invitation, right? And you're like the way I love the way you say as a neuroscientist, you can track this, right? What's happening in their brain after you to make that choice, and then their brain makes this choice, and it's like, wow, we're all connected, right?
It is. And it's not like woo-woo connected. It's
No,
actually it's like people go, we're all connected. Oh, kumbaya. No, it's
yeah,
not that. It's not
no,
that.
no, it's
We are
not.
actually all in a field of information, and it's where we want to choose, first of all, choose to function from. But we also can influence the world around us by what we're choosing, you know, to to be like.
Yeah.
So, like have you ever been having discordance with somebody, a fight, and and then all of a sudden started laughing hysterically or make a joke in the middle of it and then it changes it because the other person doesn't know what to do with it.
Hmm.
I mean, it just requires presence in that moment and go, that is so hilarious. Do you realize like how this is gonna, where this is going and the sky is green today? Or say something like totally off the charts. And then it like shakes the trees, so it becomes a different conversation.
Yeah.
Kind of like changing your environment, going back to environment.
Yeah. So circling back to environment, because that's such a powerful conversation point, right? That, are we at the effect of our environment or are we choosing something different?
Well, that too. And are
Or
we
both, right?
or and are we at in the effect of our environment, or would we like to affect our environment? Be effect be an effect
Yeah.
to our
Yeah.
environment. I go, first of all, I'm choosing happiness first.
Nice.
Lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Yeah.
So, and what do you think about, Mary, ways that we can, people can, we talk about choice, and really it's like you could choose to spend your time dialed into the negativity and the, you know, anger, let's say anger in Toronto, or you can turn the dial to something else. So we do have choice in, where we're placing our attention. And
And
it
I
is just
I
like turning a
love
dial.
I love that concept of the dial, and I often talk about this, like if I'm coaching, you have a choice. Like we're all on all of these radio frequencies at the same time. The frequencies don't go away; they exist, right? But
Yeah.
if you think if you're young enough or old enough, sorry, to remember a radio where you actually turn the dial, you don't have to listen to that particular frequency. It's there, it exists, but you can turn it to Radio Happy 101.
Yeah.
You just need to turn the dial, right?
Well, yeah. And what would people's lives be like? What would, like, I do a lot of work with CEOs and corporations. That's sort of where I play. And it's kind of like if the people in their environment were actually uplifted and happier, not just drones showing up as a body in the seat, what is it that would happen to the effectiveness of the organization? Like, I just look at that and go, there's so much more available for people and corporations and, what that could bring to the corporation, but nobody knows how to change that yet. They
Yeah.
think, "Well, we'll just do coaching, get there." But you actually can't do change of that at that level because cognitively, like let's do a raw session and then you go back to work and you're back in the same soup pot. You have to teach people or show them that first of all, that there's another way and take them off the frequency of being checked out.
Love it.
And I often think about this because it's like, how is it that we can make that different? And it's funny because I did a lot of research on this process called Access Bars, and it allows people to be more present.
Hmm. And
And
so simple. And so simple.
so simple.
So simple, so powerful, so simple, whether it's in the corporate world, whether it's in the education systems, whether it's in the hospitals, whether it's in the world of sports, the
It doesn't
simplest
matter.
of tools and
It
techniques.
And so if you're more present, you're aware where you're taking your life. You become aware of the things that keep you distracted, that you've turned your dial into stress 101. Or we're going to call that dial stress 102.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
tuned in there, and life is so hard and I can't make it happen and I can't handle everything and how do I control everything and whatever those things are. And it keeps you distracted.
Yeah. So tell us about this access bars idea, Terry.
It is like one of the coolest things. I used to measure brains and use brain training called neurofeedback in my practice with people who had anxiety and depression. And then I just sort of came across access. There's no such thing as came across, but I did. And I had a 20-minute session in some health show or something. And it was funny because 20 minutes later, I was the happiest I had ever been in my entire life. I'm going, how can happy become happier? Like, that was such a weird concept to me. I would tell you, like, if at the time I was going, well, was that a drug? Because it was so extreme, the degree of elatedness I have. And I now know it was the release of all the things that I was energetically carrying as challenges in my life, and they were gone. And all of a sudden, I could see way more possibilities in the world about everything that could be. And it was almost like having 1,000 pounds lifted off my shoulders.
Mm.
And what I know about it is that it changes. Lots of people have lots of things that they do, like we'll do breathing techniques, let's do meditation to try to get present. And what I know that the difference with access bars is not only does it allow people to become more present, but it releases long-term, I mean, really long-term stress, even the stress that you learned when you were a kid. And if you weren't carrying that, you would probably be a lot happier. But we don't know we're doing it because it's energetic. It's
And it's
not
sort
even
of like you had,
subconscious.
it's sort of like you had all these files of your lifetime, the files of your lifetime on your computer, right? But they're in your body, and you press the delete button on the computer. That's like access bars, right? You're pressing this delete button and letting go of everything that's not working for you.
Yeah. Including things that, you might come across in athletics, let's say.
Uh-huh.
It's like, I don't know if I can do this. How many times do you like start to do something, a training thing or a race, and somewhere it sneaks in,
Uh-huh.
or it does while you're in the middle of the race,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I can carry this out, or you start picking up on other people's stuff, along the way, but we all have energetic patterns that we carry that you can't, like, you could try to do positive thinking about, but then that actually creates more of the opposite side of the coin. So it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You could have things that are like people do hypnosis to try to get to the underlying piece, but the elements that keep us stuck and unhappy have nothing to do with the conscious mind and nothing to do with the subconscious mind. They're all on a level of energy that is unperceivable. We have no idea that it's even there. And in an access bar session, you don't even know what you've cleared. You just know that your perception of living is different.
And you don't have to know what you cleared either. That's the
Mm-mm.
cool part. You're just like, oh, that I feel good. Okay, I'm gonna go about my day. And then
That's
you
right.
just something changes.
Something changes because you're not carrying all of the stuff that you've accumulated over time
Yeah.
that you've accumulated.
Or accumulated over time or even accumulated recently. Like I have my bars when I'm in training, I have my bars run at least once a week, if not more often. Um, and it allows me to let go of anything I might have picked up. Like someone's like we're all terrified of these hills we have to prepare for in Spain, because climbing these hills on our bicycles is a bit daunting. And I was becoming aware of how I was getting really wound up about this whole concept of the hills in Spain and like notice no questions there. What's it going to take to climb the hills in Spain? I was just busy getting wound up. And I had this bar session, which my sweet husband did for me, and he's trained in access bars. And it was like, oh, what's the big deal? Okay, yeah, I need to do some more hill repeats. Okay, what's my action plan? Okay, I have a new action plan. I'm going to go to Collingwood where the hills are longer and steeper, and I'm going to do some training there. So I was able to get a really clear vision of a training plan and drop all of that hysteria around it, which wasn't mine because I was picking up from other people.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because there was some scientist research. So there was this research that was done and they looked at people who were stressed. Well, people in this study, what they did is they looked at people who were stressed and the amount of load that they could lift. And they looked during, so they looked, okay, weekdays, people came from work, they could handle a certain load. On the weekend, when they weren't in a work environment and carrying all that work stress, they actually could press more,
Hmm.
which would say that when we are stressed, have a degree of stress in our bodies, that we actually, the strength that we would otherwise have, our energy is going to handling the stress rather than the strength that we would come from a less stressed environment. Does that make sense? Did I just say that
Totally,
right?
it totally makes sense. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And and how it affects, people use the buzzwords of, cortisol or whatever it is, those stress hormones and all those things that we read about. Really, that's what it's about. You're just taking on other people's energies, their points of view, and then you're kind of lock and loading them into your body. And you get to the weekend and you unload some of that, and then your internal strength increases. Like, what if it's that simple?
It, and what if it is that simple? And one of the ways, I looked at this, how can I communicate this to people so that they would know that, oh wow, if I training and I would like to have higher performance, maybe if I were to unload some of the things that I'm carrying mentally, emotionally, physically that aren't necessarily serving them, then what would that do to performance? What would it do to performance in athletes? What would it do for performance in people who are in the workplace? Like it
Mhm.
could be, you know, evolutionary. When I did my
Absolutely.
PhD, that was what I did my PhD on access bars.
Yeah.
And um, one of the paragraphs I put in is that access bars can actually be the thing that is the evolution of mankind.
Wow.
It will change the trajectory of how people are living on the planet because they will be the who they are and be not stuck in the not stuck in the rut and
Yeah.
change all the weird fighting and behaviors that they've learned. Like it's interesting because I did a class recently and it was funny. It was the beginning of the war between Iran and the US and Israel. And these people showed up at this class. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the class, they discovered one half of the class was Jewish. The other class, part of the class, were Iranian, half and half. How you
Mm.
created that, I have no idea. But
Mhm.
in together in the same room. And they're all like, like happy, caring, all the things that people naturally are. And
Mhm.
then the conversation came up and then they discovered, oh, I'm Jewish. Oh, we're Iranian. We're Jewish. We're Iranian. I was like, that was like almost like the world stopped
Mhm.
in the energy of the class, like went, whoa. I went, and then they looked at each other and went, because you could see their heads spinning, like, do I accept this person? Do I not? They were all accepting each other and enjoying each other's company until the political climate thingy that creates separation between people, like where are you from? What's your religion, came into place.
Mm.
But then I went, well, does it really have any relevance? And all of a sudden I went, oh, no, we can go back to being together.
Yeah.
Which, so like a lot of these things are sort of manufactured, if you will, and create separation between people. But without them, even when you look at the World Cup, people are coming together that should be what the world sees naturally as opponents, but they're not. They're enjoying each other. That's who we are.
Yeah.
We're not this divisive thing. So I went, wow, if we were to have people around the world not choosing separation because they didn't, they're learned things, they're like crazy things, then the whole world would evolve to be a happier place. And people would be together because they wouldn't have the point of view, I need to fight you, if they want to.
Yeah. Amazing.
I know. So when we talk about taking the work out of living, what else would you say we can share with people that might be contributory to giving them another sense of possibility with that?
Well, I think we hit like the three big ones. The one, you know, even if it's a takeaway, if you've listened to this call so far, is looking at, is it actually yours? Whatever it is that's holding you back from living your life the way you would like to live it joyfully, what is that? You know, are you willing to let it go?
As
You know?
simple as, do I want to hold on to this or do I want to let it
Yeah.
go?
And then know that there's a choice there. And then also, you know, Dr. Terry, you've described so beautifully that there's this amazing technique that anybody can learn called Access Bars, which can actually facilitate and support you in being able to live your life more joyfully. I know for me, absolutely, me, my kids, my adult kids, my clients, like everybody has a much more joyful life than maybe some even think we're entitled to. And access bars is a huge part of that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I stopped doing neurofeedback
Hmm.
when I became familiar with access bars, because what I could see in brain map patterns is that they would change so rapidly, like like something that you could never see in any kind of neurofeedback scenario, that it would change that dramatically. Like 90 minutes, it went from
Hmm.
non-functioning to functioning.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like, why would I do neurofeedback if my target is to have people feel better, to
Yeah.
have, be out of the place that they're in, whether in that case it was depression and anxiety. But it generally, in the general public, their neuroconnections can be so much greater with access wires, because it actually allows you to start your brain starts communicating greater, so that there's not as much work even in thinking.
Yeah. What if we don't have to work that hard?
What if we could take the work out of living?
Yeah. Take the work out of living and enjoy living.
That's right. Anything else, Mary, before we close off today?
No, it was just delightful to chat with you and find a like-minded person who knows that there's a different possibility, right? That we can take the work out of living and
We can.
live
And live and be
and
living.
live and be living.
Thanks for
That's right.
joining us, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Yeah. Bye for now.